Hilchos Sukkah, Halacha Vav. So, Mosdos konim, which is a reed mat, by Machzelas gumi, or a mat made out of a different type of growth, like a reed. Let's go down to the Peirush HaMeir, which is also a type of grass. Maybe it's a type of willow. And if it's ketano, if it's a small one, it's usually meant to be slept on, and not for a covering of a house. Even if he doesn't say why he intended to use it for. Because the usual makes the rule that it's a vessel, it receives tumah, it's a bed, and therefore you can't use it. And you can also use on the shiur, unless he specifically made it for his sukkah. Gedola, if it's a very large one, stam the shiur, if it's made to be used as a cover of a schach, that's why you're allowed to do so. And in Cain also oyser the shchiva, unless he made it specifically to sleep on. And if it has an edging around it, even a large one you cannot use, because it is something that can hold something within it. And anything that's made from wood, if it can hold something in it, receives tumah. You can't use it as schach. Even if you break off the edges, you can't use it because we consider it as like shivrei kelim, something that was broken from a vessel. Broken vessels can't be used, even though, because at one time they could receive tumah. Therefore, even now that they can't, you don't use them for a covering. The Rambam doesn't matter. It doesn't differentiate if it was made woven or if it was done like a basket or was woven like a garment. And here too, it could be, in other words, were they attached one next to the other, or they are literally in and out between the two of them. The Maggid Mishnah cites a Mishnah. Machzelas konim, the mat, a reed mat, which is large, if it's made to rest on, then it can't be used. The Gemara says that a small one, there's no disagreement. Usually you're going to set it aside to sleep on it, and therefore it receives tumah. We can add that when it's meant to be slept on, it receives tumah, even though it doesn't have a base, a receptacle, because if a Zov sits on it, he would make it tomei. That it makes him tomei, and therefore it's called mikabelas tumah, and it's forbidden to use as a covering. And if it's a large one, the Tanna comes with the opinion that a large one is for schach, and though the Rambam and the Rif agree to that, and therefore one may cover it with a large one. The Maggid Mishnah brings a brayso in Sukkah 19b. The Chacham learned a mat of shiva v'shel gumi. If it's large, you can use it. Small, you can't. If it's from reeds, v'shel chalav, a big one, you can do it. But if it's woven, you can't do it. Shmuel ben Yosi says, in the name of his father, they can do it in any instance, and that was what Abdoisi agreed with his words. And there's two ways to explain gedola, large. One is a large area. The other one is that it's woven. The Maggid Mishnah explained that according to Rambam and the Rif, the brayso is talking about, he didn't say what he's using it for, to sleep as a mat to sleep on, or as a covering. And the Tanakama, like in the Tanakama Mishnah, therefore the brayso says, if it's large, you may do so. It's large in area. It's made for covering, and a small one is usually made for bed. But if it's woven like a garment, shesiv area, both horizontally and vertically, even a large one you cannot use. Shmuel ben Yosi says in the name of his father, and Rabbi also says that you can use it even if it's woven vertically and horizontally. The halacha is like them, so that we can understand the Mishnah the way it's simply understood, that they didn't make a distinction on reeds only whether it's large or small, not as to how it's made. Because a large one is usually made for covering, and therefore it's all right. The Rae Gann explains that it's not talking about large in area, but it's like like tzitzis. It says the fringes you make to it. That means if it's woven, the Brisa says if it's not woven, it's just tied together. You can do so. Therefore, the Rae Gann says Amavrom. The Rae Gann made a differentiation of what material was used to tell you whether you could weave it or not. Not like the Rambam, who doesn't make a differentiation. According to him, it wouldn't matter. It depends just whether it's large or small. Large you can use, small you can't use. And because according to the Rae Gann, even if it's a small one, if it's gedulo, it doesn't mean it's large. If it is strung like a tzitzis, then you're allowed to use it. Kosher, because it's hard. You can't lay on it. But if it's shiur when it's woven, not from a few that are tied together, because you can rest on it. Anything that's very large, for sure it would be considered schach, even if it was not woven, and you can use it for schach. Machon Nesher Mishnah explains that the Rae Gann learns that going to Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Doisa, Gam, Biktano, and Arugo, you can use it. And there's no, here the halacha is not like them, only the Tanakamo, that makes a differentiation between large and small if it is woven. It is tied. But if it's woven, if it's woven, but if it's tied, like our voices, even if it's small, it would be kosher. So according to the Rae Gann, the Mishnah is only this making a distinction whether it's woven or not, and the machlokes is only if it's small whether it's okay. But by a very large one, but if it's tied, even a small one is kosher. Therefore, the Rae Gann is only disagreeing by a reed which is made from gummi. There's a difference whether it's large or small, because you can't weave it. But if it's made from reeds or chalav, then if it is woven, tied together, then there's a difference between large and small. But if it's gedula, if it's like it's tied, even a small one would be kosher because it's not a fabric. What Rambam says, if it has an edging, even when it's a large one, you don't put schach on it because it is like a receptacle. The Machon Nesher Sukkah 20b, that even if you take it off, it's because it was once able to receive tumah. The Machon Nesher emphasizes that's not specifically said in the Brisa. We find it more in the Rif as an explanation of the Brisa. Learning was after Yomas Bergrichon involved on Beis in the Yerushalmi. We learned Bitoy. If his daughter was his brother's wife and his brother died without children, the Bitoy Ma'anis, can the daughter then say she doesn't want when her father marries her off? There's no miyun. She can't say, I don't want to be married. The Torah gave a permission to the father to marry off his daughter, as it says in Devarim, I gave my daughter to this and this person. Rabbi Yehuda explains, according to Rav Shimon Lakish, Yehuda Rav Shimon Lakish explains Tipota Biktana Shesiyu Aviyov and his Garsha. The father married her off. She was divorced by the husband who married her off. That she now has a standing of an orphan in the life of her father, and therefore the father can no longer marry her off, but she can marry herself off, according to Rashi. Rav Chanina B'Shem Rav Shimon Lakish, Rav Chanina both said Zoyse Meretz. From what the Mishnah says, that you can't say that a mother-in-law or great-grandmother-in-law or from either the mother-in-law side or the father-in-law side, shank down your letters. You can't learn. You learn from here that she was no longer a minor. Once she's given children, she's had children, because children are the greatest proof of adulthood. Because if you'll say Aktana can give birth, why does the Mishnah tell us that she cannot be the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law? Tamtanachi is Gadol. Wait until the sister wife becomes Vitimoyan and Bebalo, and then the mother-in-law should say, I don't want to have the brother that would die without children as my husband. And then the other sister wife would be permitted to the son-in-law. Now here we're talking obviously where they were married when they were young by their father, but not by their father, because that would be a valid marriage. It wouldn't be miyun, but having children shows that they're no longer considered minors. Kalosai, the daughter-in-law of Rabbi Shmuel Miano B'no Al-Ksefo, did miyun, even though she had a child riding on her shoulders. Rabbi Shmuel is of the opinion that children are not proof to the fact that she's mature, and she can say no. All of them are of the opinion, even if she at birth, she's still considered a minor until she is 12 years and 1 day. The Gemara explain how do I know that this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Tony, we learned in the Bryce, until when is the daughter, can she do miyun, to say, I do not want to be married to my husband, till she shows puberty through pubic hairs. That's according to Rameya, 2 hairs. Rabbi Yehuda says it's a longer period than that. It has to be where the hairs cover the majority of the area. Shimon says until the area of the private parts begins to mature and it changes, it's no longer flat. In the name of Rabbi Shimon Lakish say that you need both the fact that the body is changing, the pelvis, and the black should be more majority over that area which is white without hair. Abavu and Rabbi said the name of Hoshia. Halacha is like Rabbi Yudin, that the hair has to be the majority. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Rabbi Yehuda. He also says that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Also Uvda, there was an incident that came Kumi Rabbi Yisa before Rabbi Yisa. Oma Ezlin legabe Rabbi Avuo. It is like orphan. Let's go and ask Rabbi Avuo, who has a Kabbalah from his rabbis, that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and unless on orphan, we don't have such a tradition. Halacha Rabbi Yehuda, that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Chanina halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Chanina says halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. It's enough one sign. Rabbi Yochanan the Tziporayu. Rabbi Yochanan said to the people of Tzipori, Atan Omon b'shem Chanina halacha Rabbi Yehuda. You say that in the name of Rabbi Chanina that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, but that's who came. That's not correct. So the Gemara says, "My Gedoin." What is the conclusion? Can a gedola to miyun or not. If she has a child, can she do miyun? Chavai b'shem Rav Chanino. The Bnei Yeshiva said the name of Rav Chanino. Halacha like Rav Yehuda, but Moidai Rav Yehuda shem nivalo misheviu shtei sayros sheyichol l'mayim. That Rav Yehuda also admits that once she's a gedola, she has shown 2 pubic hairs, that she cannot do miyun, because if he had a relationship with her, that relationship would consummate a marriage of an adult. But without a relationship, she can still do miyun. Abzura b'shem Rav Chanino. Abzura in the name of Rav Chanino. The halacha is like Rav Yehuda. But Rav Yehuda shem niskacha misheviu shtei saros she'ein yichol l'mayim. That if he gave her a ring after she has 2 years, that she cannot say, I do not want it. But if she was given kedushin before that period of time when she brought 2 hairs, she can say, I do not want, even if she had a relationship after they had the 2 hairs, because everything would be based on that mistaken kedushin, which is not valid until she is shows puberty. According to Abzura, the Omar who says Niskacha Shavir Shtei Cyrus, that if he gave her kedushin a ring after she brought 2, she has shown 2 hairs, she cannot do miyun. If she was given kedushin prior to that time, v'nivalo, and then she had a relationship afterwards, she can still do miyun nicho. We can understand what the Gemara says, that Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shmuel agree, that Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that once she has 2 hairs and she's called a gedola, and she was given she was sanctified with a ring before while she was a minor, she can do miyun. According to the Bnei Yeshiva, the Indian Omen, they would say, if they had a relationship after she has shown 2 hairs, she cannot do miyun. But if she had a relationship prior to having brought 2 hairs, she can say she does not want her husband. How will we explain that Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion like Rabbi Shmuel? The question is, if she's still considered a minor, when did she have this relationship that she could have had a child? If it doesn't prove that she's married to him, if we have to say actually it's prior to her bringing 2 hairs, because if according to Rabbi Yehuda, when she has a relationship after she brought 2 hairs, then she can no longer do miyun. So the Gemara says, if she became pregnant prior to puberty, will she be able to live after she has given birth? It did not Radifa say, Rabbi Yoina b'shem Rebbe, Rabbi Yoina said the name of Rebbe Ilo, Esau, we find Ibro of Yolda actually Cyrus, that if she became pregnant and gave birth and be prior to the 2 hairs, he would no mason, then they both will die. If she gave birth Mishavir Shtei Cyrus, and she was impregnated and she gave birth before once she had 2 hairs, he would no chaim, both will live. Ibro actually Yavir Shtei Cyrus, if she became pregnant before she had 2 hairs, the older Mishavir Shtei Cyrus, she gave birth once she had 2 hairs, he chayu b'no meso, she will live, but the child will die. According to the Yeshivas, Rabbi Yehuda is not of the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel. My Gedoin, according to the Bnei Yeshivas, whose opinion is this of Rabbi Shmuel? Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shmuel, in the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that she can do miyun even after she becomes has 2 hairs, until the black is greater than the white. But he adds, however, if she had a relationship, then Rab Shimon, that would go according to Rab Shimon, who says she can do miyun even though she had a relationship after she showed 2 hairs, because when she had the relationship of Nai Kedushin Rishonin Boal, that actually on the understanding of that first marriage, which was not a halachic marriage, she's relying on, and therefore does not create a Torah marriage until she knows that she's having a relationship for the purpose of a Torah marriage. So the Gemara says, "Al daite Rae Meir Rav Yehuda." According to Rae Meir Rav Yehuda, the Omer b'Simonim Madav Toloi, that it all depends upon Simonim Nichlo. We can understand that when she brought 2 hairs, she cannot say any longer that she doesn't want her husband. According to Rae Meir, Rav Yehuda is of the opinion until it becomes black, she can't do miyun if she had a relationship after she had 2 hairs. But they permitted to do miyun if she did not have a relationship, and they set the boundary of that, saying miyun of a minor until the black is greater. Then we can understand that she's an adult, and we make an edict that otherwise we'll say that any wife, who, even if she's a gedola, full adult, can say miyun. But according to Rab Shimon to Omar, Rab Shimon, who says that she can do miyun even after the black is greater than the white, like when he has intent to acquire her after she became an adult. The Gemara says, if that's the case, why, if she's an adult, meaning the pelvis has changed, why can't she do miyun? You can't, as long as he didn't intend to acquire her, she should be able to do miyun. Amar Abi Yitzchak says, "V'keni," that's the truth. She can do miyun, in order that it shouldn't spread that the daughters of Israel are promiscuous. Therefore, after this period of time, the Chacham said, we don't permit it to do miyun because we're afraid that this will cause promiscuity.